Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. In this particular video, I'm going to be performing an analysis upon which we can then see the comparison within human history in which we see a rise and fall of the human consciousness we consider the alpha consciousness upon the earth. Now, in its sense, what is the definition that defines what is an alpha? Well, for one, an alpha is a being that does not experience fear or anxiety, which, based on this particular statement, we can then arise to the ways we see where humans were the alpha of the earth and not, which is when we see when a certain animal of a particular kingdom would have had a higher state of consciousness and have been of a more dominance than that of a human, such as the Hindu elephant gods as an example, which the elephant, an extremely intelligent animal, may have acquired at that particular time in that era a higher state of consciousness than that of the level of a human, which in its essence and in its sense would not feel fear or anxiety towards a human. And then we saw the rise of the shift, which we can see this replicative pattern in worships of animal like gods, which you could see in the fears of the human is where you find the god of the human, such as the animal that is of a higher consciousness than the human at that particular time in terms of the alpha perspective of things and the relaying aspect of the alpha. If you analyze now from the perspective of if the alpha does not experience anxiety or fear, that is what makes an alpha. And so from this perspective of the jackal or of the falcon or of the snake, on and on and on, you could see this personification essentially lead to where we see the seat of where the fear of humans is and where the belief systems of said fears arise, essentially the core fundamental same story within all culture, the moral compass, which in its moral compass is the finding of the alpha. Where is the seat of God? If the fear is where the alpha essentially becomes the alpha by not experiencing fear or anxiety, then you could say this throne of God is within whoever doesn't experience fear or anxiety. Which, if you have fear or anxiety towards certain stimulus in your life, you would find that stimulus has a higher power over you, known as an alpha, to yourself a beta. And the more we divide this, eventually we arise to how the world is ruled. And the understanding of the evolution of animal consciousness, we can see where in other cultures we may now analyze the perspective of where did we see animals had a higher state of consciousness than that of humans, known as an animal worship, where the particular animal of a spirit animal of sorts would have had a higher level of consciousness than that of a human. We also see it in the indigenous cultures in the Americas and other places. Now, in the identification of the symbolistic animal, which we would fear, resulting in that animal having a power over us, which means it could dictate how we would move as humans. And if that animal can dictate how we move rather than we dictate how that animal moves, then we can keep our garden safer according to who makes who move. And in the sacred notion of, say, a cowboy as an example, which even a cowboy, one man, can move a herd of large animals based on the particular striking of such man or woman, a cowgirl. But in the riding aspect of things, we also can learn to gain perspective or bondings with animals, which we create relationships where we unite in rhythm, beginning the essential evolution of vehicles, which then became chariots, which then became cars, which then became planes, and we essentially arise at the place we are at now, which in the evolution of man, where is the ultimate vehicle? If every piece of technology is meant to replicate a piece of the human experience, where is the ultimate vehicle? Well, you would say that that seat is within yourself. And if you have fear within yourself, what do you think is holding you back from living your life to your full potential? The moment you release or let go of that fear from holding you back, you then see you step in a different trajectory. In the idea of maintaining the fear, maintaining the trigger point of the fear, you let that have a higher power over you. How do you stop that fear? You need to transfer and alchemically transfigurate your own mind into a more complete self, which is the moment you can identify what you fear in the environment and what aspects you need to conquer in the environment. Thank you.